Good morning. So welcome to another episode of John Works Too Much. We've been working on the house. We got a green tag. So now Billy Feaster is going to go do my spray foam installation, sheetrock tape, bend texture. I love him. He does a great job. Last year we painted this house. We did some stuff inside. We put in a toilet and stuff. We did this over here. It was a lot of fun. This year they got a new pool put in, which is beautiful, but they want to have a pool house right here. So they want to have two walls right here that block off the view from traffic and stuff and give them some privacy, and then 3 columns, and then a 10-foot structure, and then like a porch cover over top of it with some power and lights and a fan and things like that. So we're also going to put some really cool looking tile on the inside wall and then hardy on the outside so that it matches that over there. So that is what we're about to start. Let's see how fast we can get this done. I want you guys to think about the fact that the person that writes your autobiography is also going to be the person that takes all your selfies. So now you know. So it's been about 28 minutes, and as you can see, we built the 2 walls, and then we got the beginning of the ceiling done. And here pretty quick, then we're going to finish off that ceiling and start framing up the roof. So we're very excited about that. Now I want to talk to you guys about something in the Bible that does not get a lot of attention, but I think is incredibly important. So when Jesus was crucified, there were 2 thieves that were crucified on either side of him. And one sat there just railing insults at him. If you're the Son of God, if you really are the Son of God, then why don't you pull yourself off the cross to save us while you're at it? And he's just insulting him, cursing him, whatever. This other guy, and this is the one I want to talk about, looks over past Jesus at this guy and says, "Are you crazy? Like, we're bad people. We're dying for what we deserve. But this guy is innocent, and you want to mock him? Like, you're about to go meet God. What is your problem?" And he looks at Jesus, and this is the important part, and all he says is, "Remember me when you go to heaven." That's it, right? Just remember my name. He doesn't do anything amazing. He doesn't build a church. He doesn't save a bunch of people. He doesn't have elaborate prayers. He doesn't have some long, lengthy anything. All he does is he recognizes, I'm a sinner, and I deserve this, and looks at Jesus and says, "Please remember me." And Jesus' response is the amazing thing, because he says to him, "Today you will be with me in paradise. When we die, you're going to heaven with me. Just for this one thing. That's it." And I think that's a beautiful story, because so many of us feel like we're not good enough and we've done things wrong. This guy did things wrong too. He was condemned to death. That's what a bad person he was. And yet, when he just recognized, I'm a sinner, I'm wrong for this, I believe in Jesus, and that's it, that was enough. And Jesus said, "Today you'll be with me in paradise." I think that's a beautiful story. We're gonna get back to work. So, as you can tell, we've got these walls built, we got the pillars up, we got the ceiling in, and then we started to frame the roof. So on this one, we want to do a hip roof. Okay, now let me explain the difference between a hip and a gable. So if you look over here, these are hips, okay? So there's like a triangle of roofing, and where that meets together, that's called a hip, okay? Now if you look over here, there's a triangle of siding. That's called a gable, okay? Then the top of it, where it's flat, that's called the ridge. And then where they meet together like this, that's the valley, okay? So hip, ridge, valley, and then gable over there. Anyway, this one was gonna be a hip because we wanna match this roof over here. So the way that we have to do that is we take the overall width and then we divide that in half, and then we do some cross multiplication. We figure out it's a 512 pitch, so we know that it's 3 feet tall. I think I taught you how to do that before. If you really care, just ask me, I'll tell you. So we got 3 feet tall. Then we figured out that there's one side slightly longer than the other. It's a foot longer, so we needed a foot piece in the middle, and you can't necessarily see that from this angle, but there is. Otherwise, it looks like it all just comes to a point, but there's actually a little foot in there. And so we had to get the flat pieces that are just an angle on either side, so we call that long to short. So it's a 22.5 degree angle up here to a 22.5 degree angle here, and it's the long side to the short side over here. Okay, so we did 4 of those, and then we made our hip boards, and then those had to have like a compound angle on them. So then we put those in, and then we have to fill in the blanks with all the little pieces. So the way to do that is we just measure off every 16 inches as we come across, and we take our lengths, and then from there, then it's going to be a 22.5. Here, come on over here. Do you like that? It's a compound cut, okay? So it's a 22.5 degree angle this way, but it's also a 45 degree angle this way, and then 22.5 degree angle that way. And then they fit right in there. They look real good. So we will have this done soon, but I wanted to show you, because I said I'd show you step by step how this works. So that's the next step. All right, let's go. I'm checking my plans here. I had my engineer draw all this up, and he made a whole list. You can see that's what it's supposed to look like, and I guess, yeah, I say that's pretty close to what the engineer drew up. Okay, we're done with all that. Anyway, so we decked everything this morning, which means we put the OSB up there. OSB, some people call it wafer board, it stands for oriented strand board, but that's what it is, and it locks everything together. We've talked about shear strength before. Lincoln was criticizing me this morning because I say that we've referenced other things. Well, I can't tell you everything. Come on, let's go away from the compressor. All right, Lincoln, what do you want to talk about? Your choice. Literally anything.
Feast.
You say feast?
Sure, feast. Yeah,
Okay,
we'll
feast.
go with that. That's not what I said,
come on
but
down,
feast.
Come on down. All right, so feast. We're going to talk about the Passover feast. All right, so where does that come from? Do you know? Well, of course you do. You're smart. But I'll go ahead and tell you. So the Passover, if you guys remember, Moses was trying to deliver, well, God was trying to deliver all the Jews out of Egypt. And Moses was the deliverer. And so God sent 10 plagues because Pharaoh wouldn't let the people go. And he kept saying, let my people go, let my people go. The last plague was that the firstborn child of every household would die, including animals and everything, right? That was the last plague. And Pharaoh was warned multiple times, like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And he's like, I do what I want. You can't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me. You're not my real dad. And it's like, turns out I am. So on the last day, then God told Moses to tell the people that the angel of death will come tonight, and the angel of death will kill the firstborn child of everybody here. Absolutely everybody. Animals, people, all of it. And if you don't want the angel of death to kill your firstborn son, then what you need to do is kill a lamb. It can't be blind, it can't be maimed. You can't like kill the ugly one. It's got to be a lamb without spot or blemish. You have to kill that lamb and take its blood and put it over your doorposts and on the sides. And then that way, when the angel of death is coming, it will see the blood over the doorpost and go, the price has been paid for you. I will spare this household. That person will not die. And so the angel of death came that night and killed the firstborn of everyone, unless they had the blood over the door, the lamb's blood over their door. And I think you see where this is going. And then the angel of death would pass over that house, and that's why it's called the Passover. But that's a foreshadowing of Jesus he's the perfect spotless lamb, and he died for our sins, and when his blood covers us, then the angel of death passes over us too, and no longer sees our sin and everything that we have done wrong, but instead sees Jesus, right? Sees perfection and the Son of God. And so we are redeemed and we get to go to heaven, and we're forgiven of our sins. So that is where Passover comes from. And now you know. I think you knew already though, didn't you? You know some stuff. You're pretty smart. So we're working on that gazebo pool house, but we stopped by my house to get something that we needed. And Billy Feaster's guys came in yesterday, and spray foamed my whole house. So look at this. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Like one great big igloo cooler. And as you can see, like it's so much warmer. I don't know if you can tell how temperate it is in here, but it is wonderful. And here, come on over here too. So you're probably thinking to yourself, how did they do this with a garage? Well, they just spray foam these walls, and then up in here in the attic, and then I'll show you on the other side. See, then the garage doesn't need to be insulated because that doesn't make sense because you got a garage door. But then this stuff is, and it's 5.5 inches thick, solid spray foam insulation. It is truly amazing. So I could not be happier with Billy Feaster and his people. If you ever need spray foam done, sheetrock tape bed texture, that's your dude. Oh, hey there. So we're working on this pool house gazebo looking thing, which is a pretty cool structure, we think, and we're working on the tile right now on this wall, and they picked out some really cool tile. It looks like kind of stacked stone or barnwood or something like that. So we're doing a subway pattern, which means we start with a full tile, and then we do a 2/3 of a tile, and then a 1/3 of a tile, and then we carry that pattern around. Then we go another full 1, 2/3, and 1/3 all the way around. When you get to a corner, you cut that, keep going, and at the far end you just cut it off. So we could put a bunch of mortar all over the wall, but it all falls on the ground. It's a big mess. It's frustrating. It's going to dry too quick. So what we do is we get this thin set and put it on down here, and then cardboard to keep the keep it off the concrete. And then once we do that, then we come over here to the wall. They're super lightweight. Let's see if I got lucky here. Oh, look at that. We got lucky. Let me see what the spacing looks like. Gotta make sure we're right. And then we're done. So that is how you lay this. And then we put spacers in between them, and that's what keeps them up. So you can see there's all these spacers, and that keeps it the same height. So I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never actually been kidnapped and held hostage, but I have been in a group text before, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. So I've got a friend that's in law enforcement, and I asked him, because somebody challenged me, they're like, John, it's not the same thing. I mean, it's horrible to be kidnapped and held hostage. I'm like, but is it? So I asked him, I'm like, have you ever saved anybody that's been kidnapped and held hostage? He's like, yeah. And I was like, and what did they say when you saved them? He's like, funny story. And I hadn't prompted him. He said, when they saved this person from being kidnapped and held hostage, that the person's exact words were, thank God I felt like I was in a group text. And I'm like, told you. And he's like, John, seriously, would you just talk about your Africa video and stop being so stupid? I'm like, okay. So here's my Africa video. I made a short version, then the church edited that and then made kind of one that was suitable for church, because I'm not. But last night, actually this morning for you guys, I compiled the whole thing. And so if you are like, man, we followed you in Africa and it was interesting and cool and pretty pictures and whatever, I wish you had it all in one place so that we could look at it. I did that for you. So if you check my YouTube channel, it's just John Tennell, then you will see that there's the whole Africa experience, and you can watch it at your leisure. It's also, I think there's a link on my Facebook, so just check for that. I know I post a lot, but hopefully that'll help you out. Hope you guys have a wonderful night. See you at church tomorrow. So I want to talk to you guys about, what do you think, Rachel? Children's stories. You got children, right?
I do.
Yeah, you do. So I think an appropriate children's story for right now is The Emperor's New Clothes. Are you familiar with that one?
I am not. Do tell.
So here's The Emperor's New Clothes. This is what happens for those of you that don't know. These swindlers come into town, and they come and they convince the king that they can take pure gold and then spin it and make clothes that are light as a feather and absolutely beautiful, but only for really smart people, because smart people can see it and feel it, and they just like convince this king that this is what's going on. And the king is just like, oh wow, really? So you're telling me that I'm really smart and then I can see these clothes? And they're like, yes, give us a bar of gold and we'll spin some of this stuff so that you can see it. It's like perfect silk. And he's like, okay, that sounds wonderful. So he gives them a bar of gold, and they set this whole spinning thing up, the whatever, and they're spinning it, they're pretending and whatever. They're not doing anything, right? They just take the gold and put it in their bag, and off they go. And like, oh, king, look at this. And they put it on him. He's like, oh, this is really nice. Well, all of his subjects are all like, but they don't want to be stupid. So they're all like, yeah, I see it. That is really nice. Good job, king. We really like that. Well then, because they're all saying it and the king's all saying it, then all the people in the court are all like, yeah, that's really nice, king. He goes, man, we're gonna make this whole robe out of this stuff. And so they bring just tons of gold for these swindlers. And swindlers are like, we're up here just spinning your gold. It's going to be great. It's the most beautiful. Oh, take a look at this, king. And they're like showing him. And he's like, yeah, it's good, because he doesn't want to look stupid, because he don't want everybody to think he's stupid. And then everybody else is like, well, we don't want to look stupid either. So, we're just going to agree with him that, yeah, that really is pretty. Well, then they convince the whole kingdom that this is really pretty stuff. And it's like elegant and beautiful and very fine, made out of pure gold. But you can only see it if you're really smart. And so then they arrange a parade, and the king goes through the town, and he's wearing these robes. He's like pompous and whatever, and everybody's just like, wow, that's so beautiful, king. And there's just lines of people, and the horses are coming out. There's a big parade and everything. Like, what a wonderful thing. We love this beautiful pure gold thing that you've got. And finally, thank God for children, okay? This kid looks up and goes, he's not wearing any clothes. He's in his underwear. And then everybody around starts going, is he really in his underwear? And then they all realize that they've all been swindled. But by this time, the two crooks are like, we got all your gold, because we've been lying to you this whole time. What's the moral of the story? I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I'm done with masks. I'm done with COVID. I'm done with this bull crap. We're coming up to our first year anniversary of a 2-week quarantine. It's either not working or it's not real. I'm done with COVID, and that's a good children's story, so I hope you apply this. I know that some of you are gonna be like, oh, but people die. People die of all kind of stuff, okay? Look it up. You know what they die? 1 out of 4 people is gonna die from heart disease. I'm sorry, it's hard truth, but they are. Which means 1 out of 4 of you watching this will probably die from heart disease. I don't see anybody slapping French fries out of anybody's hand, telling you not to have a second burger or whatever. You know what another big killer is? Diabetes. I don't see anybody like, hey, we can't have sugar because people die from diabetes. I don't see that crap. Another one, lung cancer. That's a big one. Like, I forget, 20 billion cigarettes a day are smoked or something. It's ridiculous, right? I don't see anybody like, hey, you can't smoke. But if you really care about saving lives, then let's really care about saving lives. But it's not about saving lives. This is about we're being swindled and we're being lied to, okay? I'm sorry. I could go through a laundry list of all the things that kill people. And it's a lot of things that kill people. And you know it's gonna do that. And way down, not even on the list, is COVID. But you know what we haven't had is any deaths from the flu this year. The same amount of people that die from the flu die from COVID. I'm sorry, it's a harsh reality, but it's true, and they are lying to us, okay? So I'm over it. I'm not gonna do it anymore. I'm not playing your dumb game. I mean, not that I have anyway, but I'm done. Like, here's what I have seen, okay? I don't know, I know hundreds of people have had COVID. Hundreds, probably 350 people I know personally that have had COVID. 0 of them have died. The people that are like, well, I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. I'm like, not the same thing. If this is a worldwide pandemic, we should all know people that have died from COVID. And I don't know anybody that knows anybody. And they're like, well, I mean, this guy had COPD and emphysema and lung cancer and diabetes, and he died of COVID. And this guy like fell out of an airplane without a parachute and landed in a shark tank, and then alligators got him and he died of COVID. And I do know people personally that they've had relatives that died of something else, kidney disease, all kind of things, and on the death certificate it said COVID. And I'm like, we are being lied to. I'm sorry, but we're being lied to, and I'm done with it. So bring on the hate. I know that there's gonna be some of you guys that are like, oh, we love COVID, we just want to be quarantined or whatever. Here's what I do know. I know tons of people that have committed suicide. I know tons of people that have lost their business. I know tons of people that have gone bankrupt. I know lots of depression. I know relationships that have ended. I know marriages that have ended. I know kids that have been abused. I know my son didn't finish college when he was a semester away because he can't deal with the whatever in the world, the distance learning or whatever. That's real stuff that's happening. COVID is not killing people. Goodbye. Hello. So today we got the roof on. Thank God. It looks way better now.
Can't see it from this angle. Back
Back it up. Come on. Kenny knows better. Way more better. So, and that matches that roof because, you know, that's how we do stuff. And then we got the tile up, and the tile looks beautiful. We got the fan and the lights up. We got lights on the outside, and outlets and switches. And tomorrow we're gonna grout, and then we're gonna touch up a little bit of paint and wire in one more outlet on the other side, and then we'll be done with this one. So here's my advice for you today. You ready? If you live like you're rich now, you will definitely be broke later. So my get rich quick scheme involves a lot of work, a lot of money, or sorry, a lot of work, a lot of discipline, a lot of time. I don't know, what else? Savings.
Doesn't sound like a quick scheme.
No, it's more like a get rich slow scheme.
Yeah.
It works though. Like, you can get rich quick. Quick money, you lose it fast, right? Like fast money, you lose fast. But slow money, then that sticks to you. So my advice to you is don't live above your means. It's a dumb thing to do. Instead, live like you're broke, and then later on you'll be like, look at all this money I got. That's what I do. And one day I'll have money. So guys, I'm really sad because there are homeless people out there that can't even pay their mortgages, and that is just heartbreaking. But these people can, so this is great. I'm sorry. So a couple weeks ago, we built this whole thing. You remember, it's a little pool house kind of a gazebo thing, and they got the TV up and the furniture and everything. It's super nice, but it had these 4x4s. See how that's the green, the 4x4, and it looks okay. But doesn't this look better? That's a column. So the homeowner, who's amazing, bought these columns. We've never installed them before, and so we were like this, how does this stupid thing go together? And we were very frustrated. Okay, so here's how it is. This column wraps around in 3 different pieces and it locks together, and I'll show you how. we had to cut a little bit of this off. So you can tell that it locks together, let's look on this side, in like a tongue and groove kind of a way, right? But that doesn't look so great. So we were like, how do we get this whole thing 10 feet long to like, we're bear hugging it, you know, like it was very frustrating, both of us. And then we're like, we've got it. So we've got all these ratchet straps and we put cardboard around, we're ratchet strapping it, and this thing's just like, no. So then, have you guys ever heard of YouTube? Well, we discovered it, and this is what they said. They said, and this one dude who didn't look super smart, so I was like, oh, I can do this then if he can. He basically just, gets the thing, put the 3 pieces up there, he's just standing there and just goes, this is how you do it. Whack, whack, whack. You see how that all of a sudden seamed that up? Whack. Oops. It's better if you don't do it like that. But anyway, he basically was just like, yeah, that's it. Whack, whack, whack with a rubber mallet. I'm like, okay. Anyway, it's this is obviously not going to cooperate with me, Ram. So you whack it with a rubber mallet, and all of a sudden the seams come together, and it looks super tight, like this. See, that's rock solid. It's not going anywhere. So even still, it was real floppy, right? Because this thing, imagine this around this post, okay? Because that's what's going on. And there's a lot of play. Doesn't look so great. And like, how does that just seems real wobbly? So here's a problem we have with this stuff is that it didn't come with these L brackets, so we had to go to the store and go get some L brackets. But we got these, and then we drilled a pilot hole. Where's my drill? Oh, we drilled a pilot hole, which means that in metal and hardwood and stuff like that, you drill a small hole, and then we got our drill and screwed these screws in. So we drilled into the metal, then up top we drilled in and drilled into the wood, right? But then down here in the concrete, come on over here, I'll show you. Then we drilled with the hammer drill, which is that thing right there. Show them, JJ. And then these things are called dry pins, okay? So you drill a hole in the concrete, and then you hammer this thing in, and when you do, then this nail goes in here and expands, and then it's tight. So I'll show you how it works. Put this in, and then boom, boom, boom. And then that thing's not going anywhere. You see that? That is solid. Okay, so from there, then what we do, these things are not super easy. I'm not gonna lie to you. You gotta break the weld on these things, and then they go together and sandwich down, okay? So once again, not the easiest thing in the world, but you know, usually we just do 4x4s on these porch cover things, but now we're thinking maybe we won't, because I mean, it does add some money, right? It added whatever, an amount of money. I think $250 a piece just for the things, and then the tops and bottoms were a little bit more, and I don't know, in labor, maybe $500 a piece or something like that. But oh, hey, I just saved a fish from drowning. Did you know that this fish can break dance? But only for like 15 seconds and only once. Anyway, we got these columns in. They look beautiful, and they're solid. They're not going anywhere. They look really good. So this, if you remember, it was a couple weeks ago, but if you're watching the full video, then you'll see that this was just concrete. In fact, they just had this pool put in, which is beautiful. Last year, we painted this whole house. It was pink, and so we painted all the trim and everything. And then we added this whole thing, framed it all up, did the soffit, did the fascia, did the roof, laid all this tile, brought the electrical in, and then put these columns in. And that was a really nice finishing touch. And then we got the fan up, TV up, and everything. And how beautiful is that? So JJ, is there any last words you want to say?
These columns suck.
They were a little tricky to put in, but I think they really add a lot. And it's probably worth our couple hours just to get it in. I mean, 28 minutes just to get it in there. So, so yeah, there's that. And we'll see you guys on the next one. All right, bye. Hi, my name is John Tennell. Recently, we got the chance to go to Tanzania, Africa on a trip. A lot of you guys helped to pay for supplies that we got to take to the Hadza village. We're very grateful for that. We got to bring them 5 tons of corn and a lot of food and a lot of medicine. Will Hoffman was the leader on this trip. Will Hoffman was a missionary in Tanzania for 4 years and knows the people very well. He knows their language, he knows their culture, and he was a tremendous asset. We could not have done it without Will. He cared for the people, he knew which medicine to buy. We bought so much medicine to them, and everybody from the village came, and he listened to them, and he treated them and just made sure that they felt that they understood how the medicine worked and that they weren't going to get it unless they did it right. And he saved at least 2 people's lives while we were there. We went to another village where the Hadza people were, and we went along a lot of rough terrain. We got stuck in the mud several times. We went through riverbeds. So we were very dirty and very stinky. and our feet were very muddy. And at one point I was sitting and I looked beyond Will's feet and I saw everybody and he was speaking to them. And I remember the scripture that said, "How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those that bring good news." And I thought about how gross our feet were at the time. And yet God says that our feet are beautiful on the mountains, and the mountains are beautiful. Our feet are beautiful on the mountains when we bring the good news of Jesus to people. I'm grateful that I got to be a part of this trip. I feel like I learned a lot. We got to see another culture. We got to see the world through a different set of eyes. I think our world is bigger now. We definitely appreciate the things at home, but we also know that there are people over there that are living a completely different life that could probably use our help. And to be honest with you, they do lack things like food and medicine, water and things like that. But more importantly, I think that they need Jesus. And Will Hoffman knows their language, he has their respect, he knows their culture, and he loves them deeply. And I know after being there with him that he wants to be with those people more. Malakia is a local from the Hadza village that learned to read and write, and he also learned an international language code. And he has a desire on his heart to translate the Bible into the Hadza language. And I think with Will's help that they can do that. And I pray that that gets done sooner than later, because I think that lives and souls depend on it.
Later that night, Matthew walked into his room and a thought occurred to him. When he went to turn on a light, he never wondered if the darkness would overpower the light. There wasn't really a struggle between darkness and light, or good and evil. This was life-changing to him. Darkness is not the opposite of light. Darkness is the absence of light. Cold is not the opposite of heat. Cold is the absence of heat. You can't add cold to something. You can only remove heat, and cold is what is left. And evil is not the opposite of good. Evil is the absence of good. Once a light is on, the darkness disappears instantly. Once good enters a room, evil flees as well. The only time that darkness prevails is when there is no light. The absence of light creates a void, and all that is left is darkness. The same must be true of good and evil. And so, if we live in a dark and evil world, then that is on us for not letting our light shine. More specifically, it was on him. Matthew took this knowledge as a responsibility to let his light shine in such a way so that no darkness could exist around him. He would no longer hide his light under a bushel. Everyday Angels by John Tennell. Available on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle.